In this nitty-gritty prime time Let's Play live stream, we're going to be playing American Mah Jongg using the 2024 National Mah Jongg League card, and we'll be playing at Mahjong Time. Mahjong Time is my favorite platform to play on because it's the most realistic. I love the community there, and you can play 5 versions of the game. The other thing about Mahjong Time is that because it is the most realistic way to play the game online, you can practice hand reading, and you can't do that anywhere else right now. So if you want to give it a try, look for my email in the video description below. I can send you information on their 30-day VIP trial. I want to say thank you so much to moderators who will be helping monitor chat today. We are using a nitty-gritty format, so no socialization today, so that we can dig into the nitty-gritty of today's topic, which is strategy by wall, a phased approach to playing the game. This is a collection of tactics that you can use when you play Mahjong, and there are some really great benefits to using this particular strategy. So I'm looking forward to sharing it with you. Thank you for being here. I will go ahead and share my screen and we'll get started right away. Here it is. Strategy by wall, a phased approach to playing the game. You ready? Buckle up, because there's a lot of information in here. And incidentally, there's a wiki article with the details in that I'm going to be sharing with you, so you can study that. And also, it's in my second book, the American Mah Jongg Primer Volume 2, Essential Skills and Strategies You Need to Optimize Your Winning Potential. So I'll make sure to have a link in the video description below to both of those. It might already be there, actually. Let me see if it is in there. Let's see here. The skills and strategies matrix is there. Let's see here. The card analysis is there. Okay, let me just put it, right here. AMJ Primer Volume 2. I'm going to call it Power Ups, because that's on the title. It's kind of like I guess a nickname, if you will. Power Ups. Okay, so there's that one. And then the other one that I want to put in there is the wiki article. Hoptoi, that's me. I'm Hoptoi. Hoptoi, that's my player name at Mahjong Time. Hoptoi Strategy by Wall wiki article. And I can grab that super quick, so bear with me. And that way it'll be there when you need it later. And if you're watching the repost, you can look in the video description for that as well. So strategy by wall, if you want to follow along, I believe it's pretty close to everything that I'm going to be sharing in this presentation. There might be some differences. Okay, it's in there now. Here we go. All right, we're ready to go. So the reasons why I like this strategy so much is because it can help you increase your focus. It can also help minimize that feeling of being overwhelmed, because this is a complex game. And there are a lot of tactics that you can execute when you play the game, and knowing them all and having the right timing can be a little bit overwhelming. So by using this particular strategy by wall, it can help minimize that feeling. And it'll also improve your critical thinking skills. The idea behind this strategy is compartmentalization, which is when you divide a concept into components. And the beauty of this strategy is that you can focus your tactics or the execution of your tactics based on the wall in play. So you focus on tactics in the Charleston, and then during the begin game, the middle game, and the end game. And I'm going to show you what I mean by all that. You use compartmentalization by adopting tactics based on the wall in play. The first thing that I just want to lay this foundation that there are 3 phases in a game of American Mah Jongg. The Charleston is the first phase of the game, and this part of the game has a big chunk of the pie, like you see here in this graphic, because this is when the transformation happens after you get the dealt tiles. This is the moment when you can exponentially improve your dealt hand, so that when you get to the play, which is the next piece of the pie, where you pick and discard 1 tile at a time, you want to exponentially improve your dealt hand so that when you get to the play, you only have a little more hand development to do. That's the ideal way to play this game. And this is why the Charleston is such a big chunk of the pie. It's a pre-game hand development accelerator, and it's critical to playing the game well. If you can master the Charleston, you can play the game well. And then, of course, the final piece of the pie is the pay, which is where you reward the winner. And that is part of the game, because you've got to announce the value of your winning hand. And if you don't do it right, you could be shorting yourselves. You could be leaving money on the table. All right, now this original idea was introduced to the Mahjong community by Tom Sloper. So I just want to give him a quick shout out, because I learned about his version of strategy by wall. But as I started using it and perfecting my own playing style, I've made some adjustments and I've added my own tactics to it, which is why I call this Hoptoi's strategy by wall. But it came from the version I learned from Tom Sloper. So big shout out to Tom Sloper of Sloperama. The idea is that you base your tactics on the wall in play. And when you first begin a game, the first wall, there's 4 walls, 4 players, 4 walls. The first wall goes away when the tiles are dealt. And everyone has their tiles, and you have a short wall left over, depending on the number that is rolled with the dice and where the wall is broken. So that wall is going to be a different length depending on that number. So you have a short wall. This is what it's going to look like during the Charleston. You have the first wall that goes away, and then you have a short wall. That short wall is the begin game. The begin game is the short wall. The middle game is the third wall, and the end game is the 4th wall. So there are tactics that you can use during the pre-game, which is the Charleston, the begin game, the middle game, and the end game. So we're going to start with the pre-game, the Charleston. You are going to, your primary focus, of course, throughout the whole game, but right from the get-go, is hand development. You want to be the first player to complete a hand on the card. When you first get your dealt tiles, you're going to target the strength of the hand, and then choose a category that uses supporting tiles. As many of those tiles as you can. The more the better. So you target the strength of the hand, whether that be multiples, which is pair pung kong, or whether it be the predominant pattern, which would be a category on the card. Target the strength of the hand. Then you're going to gather. You gather tiles, regardless of suit, and focus on the category that will use most of your tiles in support of the strength of your hand. Then, once you have your gaps filled, hopefully, you'll be able to build, because there are multiples that you need in here. And a lot of times you'll start with singles. You may even have gaps to fill. That's where you gather. And then you build. When you start having no gaps, you start then to build, because most of the hands on the card require pungs and kongs. Some are just singles and pairs, but most have pungs, kongs, and even quints if you decide to play that quint category. And then you defend as well. And this defending, that applies throughout the game. So even during the Charleston, you want to play defensively, especially if you're a competitive player. Not everybody focuses on defense, but I highly recommend that you do. The purpose of the Charleston is to expedite hand development. That's why I call it a hand development accelerator. Hand development accelerator. By doing these passes, you speed up the process. If you think about it, without the Charleston, you'd have to pick one tile at a time. During the Charleston, we're going to do it 7 times, up to 7 times. And that will mean that 21 tiles will pass through your hand, up to 21, because there are Charleston options where people might pass blind and people might stop the Charleston. So that's why I use the phrase up to 21 tiles and up to 7 passes. But you can exponentially improve your dealt hand by using tactics during the Charleston wisely, and by watching the trend that you may or may not notice as the tiles go through your hand. So by looking at this particular dealt hand here, oh, let's see, I just want to mention here just briefly, players can stop the Charleston, and if people are between hands, they may pass blind. The thing about stopping the Charleston and passing blind, if you're in between a couple of options, whether it be categories or hands, you want to pick the strongest option and keep going, because you'll be turning down up to 9 tiles that could potentially help you stay in the front or get in the lead and win before anybody else has a chance. So doing the full Charleston is critical in many cases. So if you look at the tiles that we have in this dealt hand, a flower here, west, south, we have a red dragon, a pair of white dragons, 3 5 cracks, 8 crack, 1 5 in dots. We have a pair of white dragons, pair 5 crack, and a pair of 5 dots. You might think maybe you would play, let's say, like numbers with 5s, but there's a gap. There's no 5 bam. So I wouldn't play like numbers here. I would probably play little odds. Little odds, or you could maybe hold on to the dragons to see if the 5 bam comes in and maybe circle back to like numbers with 5s potentially. But definitely leverage the pairs of 5s. Those multiples are the strength of the hand. Let the multiples drive the decisions, or let the multiples be the predominant variable when it comes to decision making with hand development. So here I would probably pass the 8 crack with a west and then a white dragon, because you could always use a joker for the dragons later, or maybe pick it up in the Charleston or the pick and discard phase of the game. Okay, so now if you have a strong hand and less than 3 discards, that's when you would want to pass blind or stop the Charleston. So here we have 1 3 bam with 5s. We could do 3 4 5 of some kind. I probably would pass the west, the white, and the 4 crack and see what else comes in. maybe like numbers with 5s and use the 3 bam as joker bait or something like that. Okay, so now we're going to talk about tactics in the Charleston, tactics for hand development. The first one is to optimize. Optimize is to make perfect, effective, and functional as possible. When that comes to Mahjong, that means that you're going to target the multiple, because in the end, you're going to need them. Every hand on the card uses multiples. All of the hands use pairs, pungs, kongs. So gather tiles that support the multiples to optimize hand development. So that's the first tactic, optimize, target multiples. So in this case, we would play little odds because we have 1, 3, 5. 1 bam pair, 3 dot pair, 5 dot pair. Now there is some potential in here for consecutive run, and that's fine, but you would have to break up a pair of 1s. So you can see here, there's 2, 3, 4, 5. 2 or 3, 4, 5, 6 maybe with the dragon. So you could play consecutive run, but you'd have to break up a pair of 1s. I think it's better to target the multiple and try to leverage it and play little odds. You've got choices though, and you could probably make both work. So why does this work for American Mah Jongg, you might ask? It's because of the design of the game. In American Mah Jongg, 85% of the hands on the card use big multiples. Big multiples are pungs, kongs, and quins. 84% of the hands on the card use big multiples. So if you target multiples, you're going to optimize hand development, which is the whole purpose of the Charleston. The next big thing that I want to point out is that there are little multiples in 64% of the hands on the card. So between the two, it's the whole card. Whether you do little multiples, big multiples, you're going to need them, and that's why you want to target them. Target multiples. Focus on multiples. Also, when you think about suits, you want to gather tiles regardless of suit, because there are 25% of the hands on the card in one suit versus 70% of the hands on the card in mixed suits. So gather all suits until you run out of discards, because there are way more hands to choose from in mixed suits than one suit. The other thing that I want to mention about the Charleston is you want to pass defensively. Now, not everybody cares about passing defensively. Some people have what I call a myopic view on hand development. They focus only on their own hand. And there's no right or wrong, but there is good, better, best. If you don't focus on defense and you pass whatever you do, it doesn't even matter. If you don't want the tile, regardless of what the 3 are, and you just pass them along, you're giving those to your opponents. And that could fit into their hand and place them in a position ahead of you if you're not careful. So I highly recommend that you pass defensively and focus on your hand development. You do the best you can with what you have left over. So your priority is hand development for your own hand, and then you do the best you can with what you have left over. When it comes to like numbers, there are 44% of the hands on the card that use them. That's close enough to half to where it's significant. So if you pass like numbers, it's almost as risky as passing a pair. And I know some people don't even mind passing a pair. I've gotten a pair many times in the Charleston, and I've gotten like numbers more times than I care to count. So some people just don't care about passing defensively. But as far as I'm concerned, when I play, I pass defensively because I don't want to help my opponents. I want to keep them in a lower level, or I want to keep them needing to do more hand development. So I don't want to help them with it. Therefore, I pass defensively because I want my hand development to be ahead of theirs. So if I pass defensively, I'm able to mitigate that risk and keep them at bay so that I can develop my hand and stay in front. That's the idea. Also think about flowers, because flowers are in lots of the hands on the card. 12% of the hands use Kongs and 29% use pairs. Together, that's 42%. So not as many hands use flowers as hands that use like numbers, but it's still significant. So try not to pass flowers. The next tactic is maximizing. Maximizing is when you use most of your tiles. So you increase your potential to get a hit or a keeper with those incoming passes. If you don't have multiples, you want to look for a predominant pattern and focus on that predominant pattern. That would be the strength of your hand when you have no multiples. You look for the predominant pattern. So one of the things I like to look for, it's kind of a new epiphany that I've had, and that is like numbers. If you look at these tiles, we have like numbers with 3s, like numbers with 6s. So probably we would play 3, 6, 9 because that would leverage the 3s and the 6s. There is some potential in here for 3, 4, 5, 6, but 3, 6, 9 uses more tiles, and that would be maximizing. So later you could see that a multiple forms, 2 multiples formed with the 6s and the 3s, so that confirms the strength of the hand there. Now you could still do 3, 4 of some kind, 2, 3, 4 maybe, but you'd have to let a 6 dot go because we have no 5. So 3, 6, 9 is still the best way to go with these tiles. Just know that when you're gathering tiles during the Charleston and you have no multiples and then a multiple forms, reassess and target the multiple. Gather supporting tiles and play a category that uses most of your tiles. That is the maximize tactic. The last one, third one, 3 tactics, streamlining. The streamlining term is a design to construct with a streamline. You put it in order, you simplify or make it efficient. In Mahjong, that means playing consecutive run. It is the most efficient category on the card. It's the most flexible because you have, well, I'm gonna explain why in just a minute and give you a visual. But if you look at this dealt hand, it's the same one as before, where you could maybe play 3, 6, 9, but you could streamline here and play 2, 3, 4, 5, or 3, 4, 5, 6, and streamline because you can leverage that efficiency, and you have lots of flexibility depending on the trend that comes through during the Charleston. So now I'm going to explain why it works. When you look at all the tiles that you're going to be playing with, you have 3 numbered tiles, 1 through 9, 3 suits, 1 through 9, dots, bams, and cracks. You have winds, north, east, west, south, and then 3 dragons. There are 4 of every one of those tiles. So the sheer number of number tiles, 1 through 9 and 3 suits, is far greater than the tiles, the other tiles, winds, dragons, and even the flowers. So you have far more tiles to work with that give you that flexibility, and you have a range of numbers that you can move up or down that range. So 3 suits in a 9-number sequence that are far more plentiful than winds and dragons. Working with number tiles, players can optimize the process of hand development. Hands that use blocks of a number tile in a sequence are powerful because they use up to 5 numbers in a range. If you look at the hands on the card, usually it's a 5-number range. On occasion, the league will put a 7-number pair hand, 7 sequence pair hand. Right now, the greatest number in a range is 5 numbers in a range. So when you're looking at the range of numbers, you want to think about the flexibility with the numbers that you're choosing to work with. Basically, the closer you get to the center of the range, the more efficient the tile. So if you start with the edge of the range, ones, you can only go up from there. So we can do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. With a 2, you can go down to 1 and then up to 5 or 6 from 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, or 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. From 3, you can go down a little bit and then up a little bit. 4, you have 1, 2, 3 before, and 5 through 8 ahead. 5 is the most efficient number because you can go up or down 4 numbers and so on throughout the range. So the tiles on the edge are not as efficient. And then the closer you get to the center, the greater the efficiency. So you can be flexible as you get tiles through the Charleston and just monitor the trend and choose your tiles for flexibility. That's the whole concept with tile efficiency. So when you look at the categories on the card, again, this goes with game design. Consecutive run has 11 hands. That's 15% of the hands on the card. But there are consecutive runs in other categories as well. So there are not just consecutive run hands in that category. They're elsewhere on the card. So keep that in mind because you could play other categories where there are number tiles being used. The fun thing about these tactics is that you can stack them. If you stack all 3, optimize by targeting multiples, maximize by using most of your tiles, and streamline by playing consecutive run, you can have a power play and you have a very good chance to optimize your potential going into the pick and discard phase of the game. Sometimes you're only going to be able to optimize and maximize, or maybe maximize and streamline, or maybe you can optimize and streamline. You may not be able to do all 3, and it's still a strength if you can do 2 of these. But when you do all 3, you have a really strong potential to transform your dealt hand in a big way and set yourself up for success going into the pick and discard phase of the game. All right. So does anybody have any questions so far? Because we're going to start with the begin game. We're going to go into the begin game. Is everybody with me? Okay, here we go. Begin game tactics. Pre-game offense. Pre-game is the Charleston. Arrange your tiles in a logical order. Target the strength and gather supporting tiles. Reassess your hand after each pass, especially if a new multiple forms. Set useless tiles to one side of your rack. These will be your discards. The useless tiles will be things like if you're playing evens and you have odds, you're going to discard those. Inefficient tiles would be on the edge, 1, 2, 3, or 9, 8, 7. And then you're also going to think about defense, mitigate the risk in every pass. So those are the offense and defense during the pregame. Offense and defense. There's going to be offense and defense in every part of the game. When you mitigate risk, try to pass a different number tile in each suit. And in increasing level of risk, you could also maybe pass a wind or a dragon with mixed numbered suits and mixed suits, or you could pass tiles in the same category for a little bit more risk if you need to. Also, the same suit would be a little more risky. Passing white dragons and flowers is very risky. You want to do that rarely. And then like numbers and pairs as a last resort. So this is mitigating risk from low to high. So try hard to pass defensively if you can. You want to do the best you can with what you have left over. And typically during the Charleston, the further you get into the Charleston, the riskier your passes are going to get. And that is natural. That's just part of the game. You just want to mitigate the risk as best you can. The red flags during the Charleston would be any opponent passing blind and anybody stopping the Charleston. Sometimes that will mean that they're in between categories or maybe in between hands, but sometimes that could also mean that they're close to a winning hand. So you want to keep your eye on those red flags. Any questions on begin game, offense, and defense? Yep, it's a tell. Try not to leave gaps between these tiles. Yep. You don't want to play a gap hand if you can. Play a hand with no gaps. Okay, so next we're gonna go into the other one, negotiating low. Anytime a player negotiates low, that's also a red flag. Okay, now let's talk about measuring results after the Charleston. This is really great to do if you want to track your progress with decision making. So after the Charleston, do what I'm going to share next and track it and see how many times you are in a given position. But it's also a really good way to figure out the level of risk you can take going into the pick and discard phase of the game based on the strength of your hand. So the idea here is that you look at the strength of your hand, and whether you've chosen a category or a hand, you want to look at how many discards you have and estimate where you are in a position with your opponents at the table. Now, you don't know what their hand looks like, but you know what your hand looks like, and you know how long it's going to take you to get to a place of strength. So if you have more than 4 discards, you're likely going to be an underdog for any given game. So with that being your position in the game, you want to take a low risk approach until you know what hand you're playing and you have no gaps. Then you can maybe bump up to the next position, which is contender. If you have 4 discards, you're likely going to be a contender, and you can take a more moderate risk approach. But you want to expedite hand development, take a little bit more risk. And then finally, if you have less than 4 discards, you're going to be a front runner. This is when you can play regardless of risk, push to win, and stay ahead of everybody else. Expedite hand development and take risks because you want to stay in front. Watch the wall and assess your position, bump up or back depending on what happens at the table. And we'll have opportunities to talk through this process. The milestones you want to keep an eye on are the first one, which is 99. That's when East discards the first tile. Then at 80 is the beginning of the middle game. So that's when that short wall goes away. And then 80 tiles remaining is the middle game. That's where you're picking and discarding from that third wall. So that's a milestone. You want to just assess your position, because if you get 3 good picks from the wall, you might bump from a contender up to front runner for that middle game. And that's when you know you can take on more risk. Or maybe you're a contender and someone has then exposures of your tiles. You might need to push back to being an underdog. So 80 tiles remaining is the third wall, middle game. The next milestone is at 70 tiles remaining. This is the ideal spot for switching hands if you have to. Like if you're playing a pair hand and maybe somebody has a pung of a number that you need and you can no longer play that pair hand. If that happens before 70 tiles remaining, take heart, because you can switch to another hand with plenty of time remaining in the game. 60 tiles remaining is the sweet spot for joker bait, if you know about that tactic, which we'll talk about, I'm sure. 50 tiles remaining is the ideal spot to change your discard planning. You want to make sure that you have safe discards at around this time, because in 2 or 3 picks, you're going to be in the end game, and you want to have safe discards in the end game. 40 tiles remaining is the end game, and that's where you need to decide if you're going to push to win or fold and block. All right, so let's look at some examples of estimating your position. So how's everybody doing? Physical, let's see here. Okay, I don't see any questions. Is everybody with me? Okay, so here, let's look at this hand. We have a hand where we could play maybe one of three hands: consecutive run 3-1, 4, and 6. Lots of options. Because there are so many options, we're spread really thin. We've got great tiles, and there's even 4 multiples in here. But we don't know yet what hand we're playing. It's going to depend. So I would say for this hand, we would be an underdog because we're not going to be able to keep all these tiles. If this were my hand, I would probably play 1, 2, 3, 4, pung, pung, kong, kong, and use the 5 bam as joker bait, is what I would probably do. And if you're not familiar, joker bait is when you hold a pair you don't need, and in the middle of the game, you discard one to coax an exposure with jokers from an opponent, and then on your next turn, you do the exchange. That is a term coined by Tom Sloper. Okay, so here's another hand. We have year number 4, clear hand that presented itself. And we even have a couple of jokers. We have 5 discards, so I'd say we're an underdog. If you have more than 5 discards, you're an underdog. And again, that means that you want to take low risk approach until you have a stronger hand. And especially in this case, because it's a concealed hand. Here's another example. Hold on one second. Oh, okay, sorry. Dave just texted me. That's my husband. Should that have been a 5 dot? Where? What are you talking about? Only a single 5 bam? I'm confused. Evelyn, there's a pair of 5 dots on the end. The 5 dot, did I say 5 bam? Joker bait? 5 dot would be the joker bait. Maybe I said 5 bam. I don't know. Okay, so next, here we have consecutive run number 4. Single pair Kong, you could do 7, 8, 9 double run. 7, 8, 9 double run. If you did that, you would have 4 discard. Okay, thank you for the correction, Evelyn. Yes, I meant 5 dot. Okay, so 4 discards you have. So you would be a contender. Now, you could also maybe do the concealed hand, which would be 7, 8 bam, 7, 8 dot, 9 crack pair. But that 9 crack is weak. If you have only a pair there, a single there. So I would probably pass green dragon south with I suppose you could do the 7 and then use the joker, and that way you could play both, because you do have some potential here for the concealed hand. Let's see. Okay, so the next one is odds 1-1, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 4 discards. So with 4 discards, you would be a contender. Here's another example: consecutive run 7-2, 1, 2 dot, 3, 4 crack, second hand from the bottom on the right. You have 5 discards, but 2 of them are a pair that you can use as joker bait. So I'd say you'd be a front runner. I'd say you'd be a front runner on this one because you may be able to get a joker with these 2s. And you're playing a hand of least resistance, pung, pung, kong, kong. So that hand, you will not get disqualified for playing that hand, even if your tiles go down, because you can use jokers. Here's another example: evens number 2, 2, 4 crack, 4, 6 dot, 8 bam, 3 discards, clear front runner on this one. We could pung the 4, pung the 6, and kong the 8, ready to go out the gate. Trust the process. All these tactics work. They are tested, tried, and true. Okay, is everybody ready to go into the begin game? Have I lost anybody? Let's see. Okay, all right, here we go. During the begin game, offense, commit to a category by the end of the second wall. So you don't want to straddle too long between categories. So by the end of the second wall, if you've not picked a category, look at the strength of the hand and whittle out the weakness. Pick a category by the end of the second wall, because you want to pace yourself so that you're in a strong position as the game, a stronger position as the game progresses. Discard or count your discards and adjust your position accordingly. The fewer your discards, the stronger your hand, basically, and the better position you're in, underdog, contender, front runner. More than 4 discards, you're likely an underdog, take a low risk approach. 4 discards, you're likely a contender, take a moderate risk approach. Fewer than 4 discards, you're likely a front runner, push to win regardless of risk. For defense, survey each opponent's first 4 discards to rule out what categories they're playing, because you want to try to figure out what they're holding. And when they discard, it's kind of like negative space. You know what they're letting go of. So you can, by process of elimination, figure out what they're keeping. Watch what others are discarding to identify their category and adjust your strategy accordingly. So like, for example, if you're thinking about playing a year hand and your opponent has a Kong of white dragons with no jokers, you might switch to like numbers with 2s. That would be a quick example. Redeem jokers from another player's hand to prevent someone else from winning. This applies to when a player has, for example, a Pung with a joker. I suppose you could do a Kong with 2 jokers. You could take that joker whether you need it or not and just hold on to it. But also, if you discard the natural tile as opposed to doing the joker exchange, that will be a red flag. And people will wonder, are you playing a pair hand or are you ready to win on a pair or a single tile? So think about redeeming jokers and what the ramifications will be. Sometimes you can do a joker exchange to avoid or to keep somebody else from getting it. And that, I believe that if my mind is working correctly, that works with a Pung with a joker. Because if you take that joker, there's still one more tile out there. And if you don't take the joker and you discard that, the next person who picks that natural tile will get the joker. So if you take it, whether you need it or not, you're going to keep someone else from maybe getting it. Okay, the red flags, opponents making exposures in the begin game, that short wall. If someone makes an exposure, they probably are an orca or a shark, a strong, assertive player pushing to win. So another indicator could be that they likely have a well-developed hand. Also, any opponent discarding a joker is a red flag. If someone discards a joker in the begin or even the middle game, that is a red flag, and it probably means that they're either playing a pair hand or they're ready to win on a pair or a single tile. All right, are you ready to go into the middle game? I told you this was going to be a lot, so just know that you can access this information online on my website and in my book, and you can study it on your own time. And we're going to, of course, do a lot of gameplay with commentary here. Offense in the middle game. Avoid claiming a discard until you're ready to commit to a hand. Confirm your hand for exposed versus concealed before you call the first discard. That way you don't play an exposable, a concealed hand and put yourself in a predicament if you claim a discard. Commit to a single hand by the middle of the middle wall. This is another way to pace yourself. By 60 tiles remaining, if you know what hand you're playing, you're golden. Aim to be ready to win by the end of the middle wall. This is a wonderful guideline. If you can be ready to win by that end of the middle game, you have a strong potential to win. For defense, survey opponents' discard, monitor their exposures to confirm their focus. So the first begin game, you want to figure out what category they're playing. And then in the middle game, you want to watch what they're doing to confirm your estimate. Leave at least one joker in exposures to keep an opponent from playing a jokerless hand. Even though it might be exciting to get another joker, you do not want to set them up for a jokerless hand, or you could be paying out the nose for their winning hand. Discard risky tiles by the end of the third wall. You want to try to have safe discards in your hand. Observe tells. The post-exposure discards are very telling in the middle game. If someone makes an exposure at this time, the tile they discard is likely a whittled out keeper. So you can further confirm what hand they're probably playing, or at least what category they're playing based on that discard after they make an exposure. Because during the middle game, they're likely out of their clear discards, and now they have keepers that they're whittling out. The red flags are going to be anyone discarding a joker, as I shared before. Okay, we're going into the end game. We're getting closer to playing the game. In the end game, continually assess your potential to win. Calculate the odds of completing your hand based on what you see on the table. That's discards and exposures. Number of picks left in the wall is important too, because if you have 5 discards and you have only 3 tiles left to pick, there's no way you can win, even if you claim tiles probably. So you might fold and block. So look at the number of discards that you have and compare that to the number of picks left in the wall. So it's the total number of tiles divided by 4 if you're playing with 4 people. Also, look at the number of tiles you need that have previously been used, whether they be in the discards or in exposures. Okay, Carol, we're going to talk about that. I'll explain that when we get into a game. A post-exposure discard can give you valuable information. And I have a tactic or something that I do to try to throw out like a red herring to keep other people from figuring out what I'm doing after an exposure. So I'll talk about that when we get to the demonstration. So you want to also look at your opponents and you want to assess their potential to win. Calculate their odds to complete their hand. If you think you know what they're playing and you look at the discards and exposures, for example, if you see that somebody needs a flower and there are 5 out and you have 4, or you won't, that will, sorry, scratch that. Let's say there are 4 out and you have 3, that's 7 flowers and there's only 1 flower left. If they need a pair, you're going to DQ them, disqualify them. But if they're playing like a quint hand with flowers, they're going to need a whole bunch of jokers. So you can monitor what your opponents need if you use hand reading to help you figure out what they're playing. Look at the number of picks left in the wall. Look at the number of their tiles in your hand. So sometimes you have their tiles and you know they can't win because they're in your hand. You can take increased risk knowing that they're not a contender because you've got their tiles. So think about that. The tiles that your opponents need that are in your hand that you're not going to be giving them away. Number of tiles needed that are visible, that would be discards and exposures. So if you're going to play to win, you're going to discard the high risk tiles first. The highest risk tile, you want to get that out first because it's only going to increase risk as the game progresses. High to low risk would be no tiles out would be the highest risk. 1 tile visible 2 tiles visible, 3 tiles visible, and then jokers are the safest. The red flags in the end game would be any player making an exposure. That is an indicator they're playing to win. And then the discard after an exposure is telling to a greater degree compared to post-exposure discards in the middle game. And hopefully I'll be able to demonstrate that. Any opponents discarding jokers in the early part of the middle game is a red flag, because that probably means that they're waiting on a single or pair. But if players are, let's say you're closer to the maybe 3-4 picks left in the wall and someone discards a joker, they may have folded and now they're blocking. Block your opponents from hand development, from winning, and you do that by prioritizing your discards. Break up your hand and discard low risk tiles. So for example, the lowest risk tile is a joker. You want to save those to the end. Otherwise, 3 tiles are visible. Those are the safest. Then down to 2, 1, and no tiles out are the highest risk. You want to minimize exposure. If you know you can't win, don't claim a discard to make an exposure, because it gives away information. Avoid calling for an exposure if you cannot win. Observe tells, post-exposure discards, tile manipulation. This is when, if you ever notice when a player gets, maybe they tighten up and they start shuffling their tiles, maybe they're showing a little aggravation or annoyance and they discard aggressively, they probably folded. And that would be an example of tile manipulation. So we're going to look at this very last thing on risk assessment for discards in the end game. And when you think about a pick from the wall and whether or not you're going to play to win or fold, you want to think about the impact of the discard that you could be releasing into the wild. You think about the likelihood of that being a needed tile and the impact that it's going to create. That's the 2 sides of this matrix. So if you have a tile that is going to have an unlikely risk, that would be improbable. If there is risk likely to occur, that would be possible. And then risk most likely to occur would be probable. So you have improbable, possible, and probable. Then on the impact side, we have an acceptable impact, which is when a player maybe has no exposures out, no exposures. A tolerable impact would be if they have 1 exposure. An unacceptable impact would be if they have 2, because with 2 exposures, you can figure out what someone is playing by process of elimination. And then the intolerable impact would be if someone has 3 exposures. You do not want to discard the winning tile when someone has 3 exposures out, especially if you're playing competitively, where there is a penalty that you can incur or will incur. So the idea here is that improbable and possible risky discards with players who have, maybe nobody has exposures, that would have a low impact, because it's going to be hard to figure out what they're playing. It's kind of hard to accept responsibility when you don't know what they're playing. But this increases as players have more and more exposures. So if someone has 1 or 2 exposures, you're going to be up into the medium impact with your possible and probable winning tiles. And then when you get to 2 exposures and 3 exposures, you increase to the high impact, and finally the extreme impact. So you want to stick with low to medium impact if you want to play to win. But once you get to drawing something where there's going to be a high or extreme impact, you want to fold and block. I hope you find that helpful. The smarter you play, the luckier you will be, in a nutshell. Strategy by wall. Hoptoi's strategy by wall. All right, so now, oops, we're going to play. I hope everyone found that helpful. We're going to play, and I'm going to demonstrate all of these concepts. We'll do gameplay with commentary so you can see it all come together, including the one that Carol wasn't sure about with post-exposure discards. They're basically used to confirm your estimation of their category or hand. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen and we're going to play. There's a table. I'm going to jump on it real quick here. All right, here we go. First game. All right, so this is the pre-game, the Charleston. We target multiples or target the strength of the hand. Here we do have a multiple with a one crack pair. I'll use the dragons to kind of separate here. With a one crack pair, I do see 2, 3, 3, 4. I would probably play 1, 2, 3, 4 of some kind. If we get fives, we can maybe play little odds. So then I would pass the west and then maybe the 7 with a 9. 7 with a 9. We're targeting the one crack. So right now we're using even most of our tiles. So we're optimized, maximized, and streamlined if we do consecutive runs. So we are potentially having here a power play. So now I don't think, I still want to mitigate risk. 6, 7, 8, that's pretty risky. So I probably wouldn't do that. I would probably let something go here. We have a one crack 3, 4, 2 bam, 3, 4, 3, 4. I probably would pass the 7 with a 2 bam. We're still focused on 1, 2, 3, 4. We have a gap, no 2. I'm hoping we get a 5. Okay, so no keepers here. We have 9, 6, 8, one of each suit. We're still focused on the one crack pair. One crack pair. So let's see, it'd be really nice to get a 5 because then we could play little odds. The other thing that would be nice is if we get 1s, we could maybe switch to like numbers. We're playing a gap category at the moment, which is not ideal. All right, so now we have a 1, 2. We have a one crack pung. Here's a 2, 3, 4 now. Here's wins. Hi, Lisa. We're going to pass the 8. Oh, yeah, we definitely want to keep going. So we have a one crack pung, and here's a 2, 3, 4. West and south. No other ones. We're going to keep going, hopefully. I think what I would do is pass an 8 with a, let's say, one of the wins and maybe a dragon and just focus on consecutive run. 3, 4. We have 3, 4, 3, 4. One crack. Okay, finally, here we go. West with an 8 and a green. We wouldn't pick a hand. We're just going to keep gathering. Really, it would be ideal to get a 5 or a 2 crack to help blend this a little bit better. Right now, it's not gelling. And that happens sometimes. We got a 3 and a 5. So we do have another multiple in there, 3 dot pair. Here's a 5. We have 2 clear discards. So now we need to let something go. We have a 1, 3 crack little odds of some kind might work. I think what I would do is pass this white dragon or let a 4 go. Let's see. Let's let the 4 crack go. I don't think I want to take that level of risk with a white dragon. I think I would rather see if we can further develop either 1, 2 crack, 3, 4 dot or little odds. We got the 4 back again or a different 4. Now we did get a red dragon in here. We've got 2 3s. Let's see here. Little odds is really not coming in. I think what I would do is probably focus on either little odds or like numbers with 3s, because 1s are not coming in. Okay, now there's a one bam. We got a 1 bam and a 5 bam here. Okay, so here's a 1 bam. And now we're gonna go across. This is an optional cross. We have 3 4 5 3 dot pair, 5 bam pair, 1 3 crack, pung of 1s. I would probably let the dragons go at this point because we don't have all 3 numbers for like numbers. Okay, so I would pass 2. I would not risk passing 2 dragons here. And I would probably pass a white dragon so we're not passing a corresponding dragon. I would say we're an underdog because I don't know what hand we're playing. We're an underdog on this one. So we need to take a low risk approach until we have a stronger hand. So is it coming together a little bit? The 3 tactics I shared, optimize, maximize, and streamline. Right now we're optimized. And I'd say we're maximized. So we're an underdog because we have more than 4 discards for sure. Okay, now this is interesting. There's a 5 crack. So we have 1 3 5 in cracks. We have a pair of 3 dots. We could maybe try for the concealed hand. I would not pick a hand though yet. I would continue to gather.
1 dragon.
So we still don't have to pick a hand till we run out of these discards. We're probably playing little odds of some kind. There's a 3 bam. With no 2 in here, I would let the 4 go because that's consecutive. And at this point, we have all the 3s, including a pair. We do have some potential for like numbers with 3s, but we have more tiles for the concealed odd hand. So I would probably let the dragons go.
1 dot.
I'd probably play the concealed odd hand.
9 bamboos.
Let's just see what we get. Okay, we definitely don't need a big number here. I'd say we're still an underdog. Even though we have a hand with no gaps,
1 dot.
We need a 3 crack in here before I would put us up to contender because we need a pair of 3 cracks for the concealed hand and we can't call for anything.
7 dots.
Okay, now that changes things a little bit. A flower. Let's see, flower. Let's let the dragon go. We do have another hand in here with no gaps. 1 3 5 dragon with flowers now. 3rd hand down.
9 bamboos.
So there's some potential there. Either that or the concealed hand. We could play 1 3 crack, 3 5 bam. There's no gaps for that hand. 2nd one down. So we do have options here. I would say we're still an underdog because we have 3 hands that we could play. Once we pick a hand, then we can maybe move to contender, depending on how many discards we have.
2 characters.
So 2nd hand down, 3rd hand down, or the concealed hand.
8 bamboos.
We're in the middle game now. Nobody has any exposures yet.
9 characters. 4 bamboos.
Okay.
Pung.
All right, now let's see what they discard.
6 bamboos.
Because they discarded a 6 bam, I would say they're not playing
6
evens.
bamboos.
They are probably not playing evens. So in this part of the game, you can use that discarded,
North
the
wind.
post-exposure discard to eliminate what category they are likely
6
playing.
bamboos.
So they are probably not playing evens.
East wind.
I would say they're probably playing consecutive run or like numbers.
White dragon. East wind. North wind.
Now, they could be playing the second hand under evens on the second hand on the right. I'm
8
sorry, the
bamboos.
first hand, second option under evens. Let's see, 2, 4, pung, pung, Kong,
5
Kong,
dots.
2, 4, 6, 8, and 2 suits. They could be doing that. Let's find out if they hesitate on this.
8
If
dots.
there's a hesitation, there was no hesitation there. So I think
6
they're playing,
dots.
there's a hesitation now. Hold on. They could be doing 2, 4, 6, 8, and 2 suits. Pung, pung, Kong, Kong. Because there was a hesitation on the 6, maybe they don't have an 8 yet.
Red dragon.
So I would say they're probably playing like numbers with 4s,
7 dots.
but they could also be playing a consecutive run hand.
1 bamboo.
Okay, now I think I would probably
6 bamboos.
let this dragon go since we have a pung of 1s. For the third hand down under odds, we only need a
8
pair.
bamboos.
I would rather leverage that pung and play maybe pung, pung, Kong,
Red
Kong.
dragon.
Yeah, let's pass. There's a somewhat
Red
interesting
dragon.
pick. It looks pretty, but it's not helpful because we have 3.5
Flower.
bam, although we could potentially play mixed suit Kongs here, third hand down on the right, but I think a stronger potential
2 dots.
is with 1, 3, 3, 5, 2 suits, second hand down. Pung, pung, Kong, Kong.
Flower.
I think that is our strongest option. We already threw a 1 bam.
1 bamboo.
So I'm thinking 3 dot joker bait, 3 crack is a
2
discard,
bamboos.
and so is the flower. Oops, 5 crack there. 1, 3, 3, 5 joker bait with
9
3 dot.
dots.
We need to probably let that go now. We're at a point where we need to pick a hand.
2
We're at 52
characters.
tiles remaining, although there's a 6. I mean, a 6, another 3 dot. Let's let this 4 go. Because
4
at the
characters.
moment, we're actually closer to the concealed hand, but
1
this
character.
3 crack is really light. Flower 1. Flower
4
1. Smith, I don't know what you're pointing at here. I don't know what you mean, flower 1 Kong. We can't do anything with just that. There's a 5 bam. So I would play 1, 3, 3, 5 and let the flower go. Because now we have a pung there that we can
Flower.
leverage. And I would let the 3 dots go. Smith, can you elaborate,
1
please?
dot.
Because I don't know what you're referring to. I think we should play 1, 3, 3, 5 pung, pung, Kong, Kong.
4 dots.
Oh, you misclicked. Okay. We're going to let a 3 dot go next. We really want to get
8
some safe
dots.
discards in here, actually. We finally got a keeper here.
3 dots.
3 crack. We need one more good pick for that
5
3
dots.
bam. So nobody wanted the 3 dot.
2 characters.
We need to probably let this 5 crack go because that's not seen yet. We still only have
Red
1 exposure
dragon.
here at this table.
5 characters.
So no 3 bams are out, no 5 bams are out. We threw a 3 dot, nobody
South
wanted
wind.
it. These are probably safe. 6 crack, 2 are out. So that is safer than the 3 at this point.
Green dragon.
We have 36 tiles remaining. I would play to win.
South wind.
I would say we're a contender. I would say now we're a front
3
runner
dots.
because now we're set. So I would put us at a front runner now. We could pung, pung, kong, kong. We have 2 discards.
8
So I would
characters.
take risks here. I would play to win. I think the 3 is a safer discard than the 6.
9 characters. Two dots.
2 crack is a year tile. 3 are out.
6
I do like to
characters.
discard year tiles, but 3 are out, so that seems to be a safe
Green
tile.
dragon. 8 bamboos. 1 bamboo.
There's only 1, 2 bam out. So I do think this
North
player across
wind.
from us is playing a 2, 4, 6, 8 hand, maybe in mixed suits. There's a
4
6
dots.
dot right here, though. 6, 8 and crack. 6s are out. I don't think so. They have a 4 dot in front of them, so I don't think they're playing like numbers.
5 dots.
They just threw a 5 dot. There's a 5 dot there.
East wind.
Oh, flower. Okay, this 4 are out. It should be safe.
Flower.
Oh. Scary. So I don't know what they're doing over
9
there.
dots.
It looks like they're playing consecutive run just based on the
Flower.
tiles out. They've got a lot of 2, 4, 6, 8 in front of them and big numbers. 2, 3, 4, 5 in bams.
White dragon.
Well, they have a
3
pung
dots.
of 4 bams, so they would need to be doing 3, 4, 5, 6 or 4, 5, 6, 7.
9 dots.
They could be doing 3, 4, 5, 6 or 4, 5, 6, 7, but the 6s are out. We have all the 5s.
8 dots.
This might be why we're not seeing any 3 bams or 5
8
bams.
dots.
They may be playing consecutive run there.
5 dots.
Oh, good, Joe. I'm so glad. I did pray for you. I made a note.
7 dots.
If I don't make a note, I forget. So I did not forget. I'm glad you're feeling
6
better.
dots.
Okay, so I'm really surprised that we haven't
1 dot.
been able to Kong here, or pung or Kong. I would say we're still a front
South
runner.
wind.
We still have potential here, but we'll see.
7 dots.
I'd rather not expose a joker, so I'm hoping a 3 bam doesn't go down.
White dragon.
Okay, we have 2 more picks and 1 discard. I would play to win.
9 characters.
Okay, we
2
are ready on a
characters.
triple weight. 3 crack, 3 bam, or 5 bam. Triple weight. We have a good chance, even with only
Joker.
6 tiles left, although we have a player who just folded.
6 dots.
None of these tiles are seen, though, so we might have to pick it. And we have 1 chance.
3 dots.
4 bam is out in a pung.
4 bamboos. Joker.
Oh,
4 characters.
shoot.
West wind.
Darn it. Our 3s were over here on the left, news concealed. 3s on the left, 5 over here. So over here we have 3s. They were blocking us with their like number hand. Over here they have a 5, 5, 7, 9. Over here they were playing 2, 4, 6, 8 in 2 suits. Okay, let's play again. See if we can play a game where there are more exposures so we can talk more about the post-exposure discard. This post-exposure discard is one of my relatively new epiphanies that are in my second primer. If you've not heard of my second book, it's Essential Skills and Powerful Strategies to Optimize Your Winning Potential. Okay, so let's see. We have a pair of flowers, and then we have a wide spread. I would let the west go. We have 1, 2, 8, 9 in bams, 1, 2, 6 in cracks, 2, 3 in dots. We have like numbers with 1s and 2s. So I would play consecutive run 1, 2, 3 of some kind. So then I would pass 9, 6 and play some kind of 1, 2, 3 or like numbers. We could maybe do like numbers with 2s. I suppose we could have kept the west and passed the 8, but it would have been a little bit more risky. Okay, we have a pair of 2s in here now and a wind. There's a pair of 8s. Anytime you develop a new multiple, reassess. In this case, we clearly have a predominant pattern of consecutive runs, so I would break that up. We also have a pair of 2s, and it's really not quite gelling. So I would probably play like numbers with 2s. And we're gonna go ahead and hold the wind for maybe news. So let's just see what we get. We got an east, so that would be a keeper. And we have 3 tiles we can pass. So it looks like numbers with 2s and news. Thank you, Evelyn. Like numbers with 2s and news. We got a keeper, a west. Okay, now we have a risky discard, but we've got such good development here, I would risk it and keep going. So I would pass a white dragon here. All those guidelines can be broken. They're guidelines, not rules. So even though passing a white dragon is risky, just like passing a pair, passing like numbers, passing 2 winds or 2 dragons, all those things are risky. But if you have a transformed hand like this, you can take on that risk. Hello, Sue. Okay, we got a keeper. We have a 2. Okay, now is when we would need to make some choices. So we have a clear discard with our 8. We have an extra south. We do have some potential for the concealed hand, but we need to pass. We're going across. We have to pass 3. So I would play the like number hand with 2s, and I probably would pass a 2 crack so it's not the same suit as the 8. So like numbers with 2s and news. We got another south. And like numbers with 1s. I would not play that forward. I would probably just pass 2 here. Passing like numbers is almost as risky as passing a pair, in my opinion. I don't do it unless I have a really strong hand. And we still need one more good pick for that 2 bam. No keepers. We have 3 discards. This is a great pass, by the way. This is an ideal pass right here. So we're going to keep going. I would say we're a front runner on this one. We need one good pick and we'll be set. We do need a north. That's not a gap because we do have almost news in here. It is a weakness though. So it would be really nice to get a north in here, but it is not a deal breaker. We might get the 2 crack back. We could maybe play the first hand as an option. Oh, not in this case. Okay, so we have 3 discards. I'd say we're a front runner. We need one good pick for that 2 bam. So now let's see how this goes. I'm hoping there'll be more exposures in this game. Last time there was only 1. So it was really hard to figure out what people were playing. Okay, so let's let the 1 dot go. So now we
1
have
dot.
3 flowers.
South wind.
If we get a dragon, we could consider the quint, 4th quint,
6 characters.
if we get a dragon. Somebody, it looks like somebody kept the white dragon.
3 characters.
So if we get a green dragon, we could maybe do something with that.
5 characters.
Here's a 3 dot.
Five characters.
If we get a 2 crack, we could consider the first hand.
2 characters.
There's the 2 crack and a hesitation.
Pung.
Okay, so we have a pung. So I would probably let this flower go now.
1 bamboo.
Because a 2 crack would basically shackle us if we played the first any like number hand. So I'm going to let the flower go now.
3 dots. Flower.
All right, now a 2. Oh, I forgot to look at what they discarded.
1 bamboo.
So they have a 2 crack pung and they have 1s in front of them. So they're probably not playing consecutive run.
Green dragon.
They could be doing 2, 3, 4, 5 in mixed suits, but I'm thinking more
7 characters.
that they're doing either evens. Let's find out by, well, I'm going to discard this 9 first.
9 bamboo.
But they could be playing a year hand. They could be playing evens. I suppose they could be playing like numbers, but probably
1
not
bamboo.
because we have the 2s. I'm thinking they're playing either a year hand or evens. With a pung of
West
2s,
wind.
they could be playing the first year hand.
9
Let's see if there's a
characters.
hesitation on this 4 bam.
Four bamboos.
There is. So that kind of confirms my estimate. I think that they're, or is it an estimate? My,
Flower.
oh, flower. Yeah, no, we don't want that. I'm thinking they're playing the first even hand. I mean, the first year hand.
4 characters.
Oh, there's a hesitation though. They could be doing 2, 4, 6, 8 first hand.
Green dragon.
Okay, we don't need a 9.
9 characters.
I'm thinking they're playing a year hand.
South wind.
First hand, because they have a pung of 2s. There's a hesitation on the south.
West wind. One character. Pung.
1, 2. So they're doing a 1, 2, 3,
6
4.
bamboos.
Pung Kong. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we don't know which.
1 bamboo.
There's a 4 crack out. I don't remember. And a 3 crack. So my guess is they're doing
3
mixes
dots.
with bams. Bams. We got the north. Okay, so now
6
now it's
characters.
just a matter of getting a keeper here,
9
symbol
dots.
tile or a joker for our 2 man. Seems nobody wants the 3. The 5 is a risky discard because none are out.
Red
So we need to
dragon.
let this go first. We're at 67 tiles and we're very close
South
with this
wind.
hand. I would let that go now.
5 dots. Two bamboos.
We're not ready. Thankfully, nobody took it. That would be the
2
silver lining.
characters.
So we're looking for a 2 dot and a 2 bam. We
2
need a
bamboos.
shoot. Now we're going to need 2 jokers. That's okay. It happens.
7
That's one of the
characters.
beauties of American Mah Jongg. You can use jokers for a block
4
with 3 or
dots.
more identical tiles. So now we're going to need another joker. There's still one more 2 bam out.
8 bamboos. 4 bamboos.
They must be doing bams. 3, 4 bams. Well, I think I guessed that.
7 dots.
4 dot is out.
Flower.
We'll pass.
8 characters. East wind.
Okay, we need a joker. East. I think somebody could be playing winds. This player on the left.
East wind.
They
2
didn't,
dots.
there was no hesitation there, so I don't think so. Let's Kong.
Kong.
Okay,
4 dots.
so we need a joker in here. We
1
need
dot.
a joker because 2 bams are out. We're at 51 tiles. We have a safe discard, so we're in a good
characters.
position at the moment. I would say we're probably a contender because we need a joker.
North wind.
Now, if we get a joker, we'll be ready to win. Okay, this I'm going to throw now. They could be
4
doing one
characters.
suit, 1, 2, 3, 4 in one suit. There's 1, 3 crack out. They didn't take it. I think they're doing bams.
4 characters.
They're going to need jokers though because they have there's 2 4s out. I don't see any
5
3 bams.
bamboos.
So I think they're doing 1, 2, 3, 4 in bams.
Flower.
You know, we're going to define this as a
1
2
dot.
so we are not prompted all the time.
6 characters.
I don't remember who mentioned that. That's a really good idea. So now we
4
won't be
bamboos.
prompted with every discard. We know where we want that.
9 characters.
So we're looking for a joker or a 2 bam, I suppose. Then we'll need a joker. Okay, there's a hesitation on that 9. 6 dot, none are out, so that goes first. I would play to win
6
here.
dots.
We have only 1 discard. Even though we need a joker, I would still play to win. Looks like somebody might be playing 3, 6, 9. There was a hesitation on the
6
9 crack, a
bamboos.
hesitation on the 6 dot. I do see a lot of 3s out
3
though,
bamboos.
except for that one. Are we going to see a Kong? They're not ready.
Kong.
Oh, there it is. Okay, now they're going to need at least 3.
Green dragon.
They're going to need 3 jokers. I don't think that's possible. Well, it is
4
possible,
dots.
but I think it's unlikely that they have 3
6
jokers.
dots.
They need jokers kind of like us, but they need more.
5
Now that
characters.
3 bam is available for exchange. It would be really nice to
3
get that 3
characters.
bam. How low on the remaining tile count do you go to call a hand non-viable?
Red dragon.
It seems unsportsmanlike to call it if the opponent has broken up their hand to avoid giving
White
someone
dragon.
a mahjong. Oh, look, we got it. We got it. We got
3
it.
dots.
Let me define this as a 2. We're ready to win on a
Red
2
dragon.
bam. Okay, so yes, I understand, Carol, and technically you can disqualify anyone if you know
8 characters.
that they need a pair or a single and all their tiles are down. And if it
5
gives you,
bamboos.
if you know, or if you have a potential to win and it
6
gives you more
characters.
discards, I would disqualify them. But if I know
6
that my
bamboos.
my potential to win it is slim to none, I would let it go and just block because they're
6
also blocking.
bamboos.
So it is a touchy subject
3 dots.
with the American Mah Jongg game because
Green dragon.
people do break up their hand. It's just a choice that people have to make
5
though, because
bamboos.
if they have choices, they could plan their discards so that they're not in a position to be disqualified. So that is a choice they have to make.
White dragon.
All right, we got it. Mahjong. Woohoo! So yes, they did not have enough jokers, as I suspected. Yes, I pretty much knew it because they dedicated a joker here, and we had 2, and then here's 1, 7, 8, 9 Kongs probably, and then over here we have 5 through 9 ready. No, they're not ready to win. They have white dragons to let go of. 5 through 9, I think, is what they're playing there. Okay, so I hope that helped, Carol. But yes, if you can disqualify someone and you have a good potential to win, I would do it. But if you don't have a good potential to win, I would just fold and block. It's part of the game. If you're playing socially, still part of the game. If you're playing in a tournament, I would do it. If you're playing with competitive players, I would do it. So it really just depends on the format and the players at the table and your potential to win, I think are the variables to consider there, in my opinion. All right, so we have a pair of 7 BAMs, and we have three dragons. We have all the dragons, 1 of each, of course. With a pair of 7 BAMs, we don't need 3s, and probably not the 1. I would focus on 7, 8, 9, and then we need to let something go here. We have 7 BAM, 8, 9, consecutive run. Really, these dragons are not very helpful, but wins might come in handy. So I think what I would do is probably let the dragon go. A dragon go. It probably would have been better to let the 3 dot go instead of the 3 crack. Okay, so there's a 9 and a north. Okay, this is not quite working yet for us because we have a 7 BAM pair and a 9 crack pair. Those don't work together. Let's let the dragon go and see what we get in. We have 7, 8, 9 of some kind. I probably would let the wins go next and focus on consecutive run. Right now, we're doing a power play, targeting the 7 BAM. Most of our tiles are being used for consecutive run, which means we're maximized and streamlined. So this would be a power play. It's a little bit diluted because of the wins. Okay, so now there's a 9 BAM. I would pass 1, 3 with the west. You might think, why not play the second quint? We have no jokers and weak multiples, little multiples, pairs. If any of these were bigger, I would consider that second hand down under quints. 7, 9 with north. Okay, now this changes things a little bit. East and west there. We definitely should keep going. And now we need to make some choices. So we almost have news. We have like numbers with 9s. So that's what I would focus on and let the 7s go. So who stopped the Charleston? Doggone it. I was looking at my hand and I did not. Oh, the player across from us said yes. So let's see here. I think I would pass 2. Eight with a 5. So I would do news concealed with 9s. No keepers. I would let the dragons go first. Oh,
South wind.
oh, we need that, but we can use
East wind.
We can use jokers. Oh, there's keeper. Let's see, news. I think I would let the dragons go here.
Red dragon. 1 bamboo.
Nines. We're concealed.
6 bamboos.
We have a gap, but we can use jokers. And we have joker
3
bait.
dots.
I would say we're an underdog until we fill that gap.
White dragon.
Till we fill the gap, we're an underdog.
West wind.
Let's see here.
3 bamboos.
If we get a flower, we could switch to the like number hand with
Green
news.
dragon.
Let's throw the year tiles now.
2 characters. East wind. 7 characters.
No hesitation on 7.
7 bamboos.
Oh, there's our joker bait. Let's see if anyone takes it. No, nobody took it.
4 dots.
Here's 7, 8, 9. 7, 8, 9 is
West
kind of
wind.
developing here. There's a little bit of a trend coming our way.
9 characters.
Let's just see what happens. We're going to stay concealed. 7, 8, 9, double run. 4th
5
hand down.
bamboos.
We have no 8. 8 bam.
6
That would be a pair
bamboos.
gap, which is not good.
6 dots.
We do have 7 bam, 7 dot as an option here. I think because there's a gap, no 8, I would still hold the 7
3 bamboos.
because maybe we can do 7s or 9s with news. We still need a south in here to fill a gap.
4 dots.
Oh, we don't need a 6.
6 dots. 4 bamboos. 4 characters.
All right, we need keepers in here.
6 dots.
There he is. Okay, I'd say we can be a contender
7
now.
characters.
I'd say since we filled a gap, we're a contender, so we can take a little more risk.
Joker.
We can take a little more risk. The 9 bams are probably good. We might even
White
be
dragon.
a front runner, but this
9
7 bam,
bamboos.
no, we're a contender because our tile just went down. Here's a flower. Let's see. Let's let the 8 crack go. This
8
joker bait
characters.
probably has no power because a 7 bam was discarded and nobody
North
wanted it.
wind.
We're going to pass. We have potential for news, any like number
6
hand.
dots.
3rd one down.
1 character.
We would need jokers though for the 9 bam. Well, 1. There's another flower. I would probably switch to
7
news
dots.
with like numbers now that we have a pair. And I would still say we're a contender. We have 3 discards. We're at 64
bamboos.
tiles. We can use
5
jokers.
bamboos.
I wouldn't say we're a front runner unless we get
4
another good pick
characters.
in here. Let's just keep that for a bit. Sometimes people will make an exposure
8 characters.
of flowers with jokers. We could do a double take and then use
5
it
dots.
for our 9s or the south. Now somebody threw a joker. That's a red flag.
6 characters.
Okay, so let's see if we can figure out what they're playing. They have 4, 5,
3
6, 7 in front of
characters.
them. There's a south. So I would focus on the concealed hand
7
and let these
bamboos.
flowers go at this point.
5 characters.
Okay, so there's 4, 5, 6, 7 there. I'm thinking
White dragon.
no hesitation on the white. Little numbers, maybe like numbers
2
with
dots.
2s, 3s. There's a 1 in there. Let's let the flowers go right now.
Flower.
This is the first flower out. A little bit scary. We're still
4
in the middle
bamboos.
game. So this is when you want to take those risks with these tiles that are a risky discard. We're at 51 tiles.
Red dragon.
This is that sweet spot for getting safe discards. So like the 7 bam,
Green dragon.
that would be a safe discard. We're going to let that flower go.
Flower.
The 2 bam will go next. That has not been seen yet. The 4 crack is a good discard. There are 2 out.
White dragon.
So now we need to let this 2 bam go. Now this 2 bam is going to be
8
interesting
characters.
for this player on the left.
1 bamboo.
I don't think anyone's playing like numbers with dragons. Okay, let's let this 2 go.
2 bamboos.
See who bites. Okay.
Green dragon.
Now, what I do see here,
West wind.
somebody could be playing the 998 pair hand.
8 bamboos.
There are not a lot of 9s out right now. Okay, so I would say
6
we're a front runner
bamboos.
now. We're going into the end game. We picked up a joker, so we can Kong.
Joker.
Okay, now, yikes. I wonder if they're playing the 998 pair hand. How many 8s are
9
out?
characters.
Let's Kong.
Kong.
Okay, so now they can't be playing the 998 pair hand because we have a Kong.
4 characters.
Let's see what they discard.
One dot.
Okay. What about 1,
2 bamboos.
1 bam, 2 are out, 1 crack. They could be doing the
East
1,
wind.
2, 3 pair hand, I suppose. There we go. Oh, wait a minute. Oh,
7
shoot.
bamboos.
I screwed up. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I messed up. I wasn't supposed to Kong.
Joker.
I was supposed to stay concealed. I messed up this hand. All right, so that's okay. We're going to go back to
3
news.
characters.
It's okay if you screw up your hand. If we get a flower, we could play news with 9s. Darn it.
3
I
characters.
can't believe I did that. Okay, so let's let the south go. Shoot,
South
that was a
wind.
concealed hand. Darn it.
7 bamboos.
Okay, how many flowers are out? 2. There's only 2. So if we can get a flower, that would be
5
really,
dots.
really nice. We could recover.
Red dragon.
Okay, darn it. We could have won.
North
Shoot.
wind.
Silly me. I was so focused on figuring out what hand they're playing.
3 bamboos.
All right. We need a flower. We're back to a gap hand.
7 dots.
Doggone it.
Kong.
Oh, there's a joker.
4 bamboos.
1 dot is out.
1 dot. 4 dots.
My bad. Mondays are a long day. They are. Yes,
6
they are. But that's
bamboos.
okay. It's all right. We all make mistakes.
2 characters.
I'm happy to.
Mahjong.
Oh, there it is. 1, 2, 3 pair hand. They're doing the 1, 2, 3 pair hand. I was wondering. Well done. Here we have 5. Oh, they're doing the quint chow hand, 5, 6, 7 with 8s. And here we're doing 7, 8, 9 Kongs. All right, we'll be able to play one more game. Oh man, I can't believe I did that. Doggone it. I was distracted. All right, let's see if we can redeem. This will be a redemption hand. Let's try for a redemption here. Yes, she is a very good player. She's a tournament player. Okay, hold on 1 second. Oh my gosh. It's just coming. All right, let's see what we have to work with this time. Last game. Okay. We have a pair of flowers, then a wide spread. We have like numbers with sixes, like numbers with fives, so 5, 6. 5, 6 would be a pattern there. 5, 6, 7 of some kind. We do have like numbers, half of news. I would probably let that 7 crack go. We have half of news here. We could do like numbers with fives and news. Okay, so we have a south pair now, but we picked up a 5 dot pair. 5, 6, 7. Let's see. Let's let the 2 go. 5, 6. Here's a 7 bam. Let's let the win go. Now we need one more good tile to let go of here. Let's let the 6 bam go. All right, so 5, 6, 7 of some kind. 4, 5, 6, 7 we have here. 4, 5, 6, 7. Here's a pair of East now. 5, 6. Here's an 8. 5, 6, 7, 8, or 4, 5, 6, 7. 4, 5, 6, or like numbers with fives. Let's let the East go. Like numbers with fives and news. If we can get a northwest. We got a north. I would focus on like numbers with news and fives. Let's keep going. So red with a 4 and a 7. Okay, we have 5 discards right now. So we're an underdog at the moment. South, I suppose we could maybe start hoarding wins. They're going around. We might be able to hoard wins and play the 4th hand down and use the 5 dot as joker bait. We got another wind. Okay, we have tiles we can pass, so we don't have to pick a hand yet. We have a gap, no west, but we could use jokers. We have no gaps for the news like number hand. No keepers. They want 3, we can do 3. Another east. Okay. I would say we're an underdog until we fill a gap.
9 characters.
Joker.
1 bamboo. North wind.
We could use that to fill a gap. Okay, that would be a pair or single for us.
3 characters.
Let's just wait it out. We're going to gather. We have a discard before we have to pick a hand. Really don't have to pick a hand till you run out of discards.
6 characters. 7 characters. 4 bamboos. Red dragon. 7 bamboos.
We need a west. Either way, either hand, we need a west. Okay, let's see here. East, north, south.
3 dots.
I was just thinking north and south with Kongs, but we have a
3
pair of flowers
characters.
here. I'd like to use that flower pair.
4 dots.
I think we should let this go.
7 characters.
There's a keeper. All right, so
6
now
bamboos.
I would let the east go and play news, probably news,
1
news
dot.
year hand, or not year hand, news, any like number news hand.
9 bamboos.
If we can get a west in here before too long, I'd feel better. So that is a weakness.
East wind.
Oh, pass. There's a west. I would stick with it. I would say we
South
bumped up
wind.
to front runner now. We need one good
Red
pick.
dragon.
One good pick with our fives and we'll be set.
West wind.
We're good now.
7 characters.
Nobody wanted the
3
east.
dots.
Nobody wanted west. Looks like nobody else is playing winds. I'm hoping we'll see more
8
discard or
bamboos.
more exposure so we can talk about that post-exposure discard.
1 dot.
Carol, are you still with us? Did that make sense when I was talking about it before?
3 bamboos.
Okay, we're set now. This is our
East
redemption
wind.
story from that last hand.
2 characters. 1 character. 9 dots. Kong.
Oh, we got skipped. Shoot.
9 bamboos.
Okay, now they have an exposure of a 9 dot Kong and they just
9
discarded a 9
bamboos.
bam. They have 3-6 in front of them, so they're not playing 3-6-9. I think they're
5
playing, and they're probably
bamboos.
not playing like numbers. I think they're playing big odds. Or they could be doing 7-8-9. Big odds are 7-8-9 right
Green
there
dragon.
on the left. They could have our 5. The 5 crack maybe.
Flower.
Okay, we're good. We're 1 away from ready.
Red dragon.
They could have our 5 though. 9 dot Kong.
3 bamboos. 1
Let's see if there's a
character.
hesitation here. No hesitation there. This will be interesting. Big hesitation on this discard. Maybe they're in between hands.
3 characters.
That's kind of surprising though, because they already
North
threw a
wind.
3 crack. Why would they hesitate like that? I don't know. Oh, they lost connection. That's why there was a delay.
9 characters.
I'm holding this east for a safe
8
discard
characters.
before ready. I think a robot might be at the table here. I think we have a robot. We might get a 5 out of them.
Joker.
Oh my gosh, that's painful.
9 dots.
Oh, they got a joker.
4 characters.
Shoot. I hope the
bamboos.
post-exposure discard is making sense, Carol. Let me know what you think about that.
Kong.
I think really concentrating on discards is the name of the game. I forget because I'm so focused on my
8
hand.
characters.
I have to shape up and pay attention. It can be very enlightening, and the information can help you with your own
7
hand
characters.
development. There's a lot of juggling that has to happen, though. It's like spinning
2
plates.
characters.
There's a lot to keep track of. That's why it's an advanced strategy or
7
advanced
dots.
tactic, really, I guess. Reading hands.
Green dragon.
It is very challenging, and it is a deeper level of play for sure.
Green dragon.
Okay, a flower. We're gonna make it pretty.
Flower.
We're still in the middle game, so I'm not too worried about
West
discarding a
wind.
flower right now. Okay, so let's define these as tiles so we're not prompted
2 characters.
every stinking time here.
3 dots. 3 dots.
All right, so now we're looking for a 5 crack or a 5 dot.
5 characters.
Okay, there we go. Let's Kong.
Kong.
And now we are ready on a multiple weight.
East wind.
Multiple weight, win with a 5 dot.
Green dragon.
Now, if we
4
draw these tiles are all available here. So we are ready to win by the end of the 3rd wall, which is a really good goal.
South wind.
These are all available, these jokers
1
here.
character.
And we are semi-stealth mode with 1 exposure.
6
So there's no way
characters.
for people to figure out what we're playing unless they've been watching our discards.
8 characters. West wind. 6 dots.
Okay, I think they might be back at the table now.
1 character.
Oh, I forgot to look at what the discard was after that 8 bam Kong,
1 bamboo.
but that's okay. Looks
6
like maybe a 9,
characters.
8, 9. They're
2
not.
characters.
I don't think they're playing evens. I don't think
7
they're playing
dots.
consecutive run. 7 dot just went down. I think they could be
Red
playing.
dragon.
They could be playing like numbers with 8s.
2 dots.
Let's see here. Like numbers with 8s.
Kong.
All the dragons are down, so I don't think they're playing dragons. Actually, there's
8 characters.
not much of a hesitation on the 8 there.
2 bamboos.
They could be playing a multiplication hand, I suppose. How many flowers? Oh, 2, 4, 6, 8. There we go.
Flower.
2, 4, 6, 8. And of course, we're looking for a 5 dot. Oh, that 8 bam is right here.
1 dot. 6 characters.
Oh,
5
so this player on our
bamboos.
left had a 2 dot Kong with an 8 crack
Flower.
discard. So they're not playing. They discarded a white dragon
1
too.
bamboo.
I suppose. Oh, there we go. Mahjong.
5 characters.
We got Mahjong right there. Woohoo! A year hand is what I was about to say over there. All right, news with 5s redemption story right here because I made a boo-boo on that last hand. Okay, and here we have 5 through 9, no, 6, 7, 8, 9, pung, pung, kong, kong. Over here we have a 2, 4, 6, 8 hand ready to win on a 4 bam or 6 bam, ready to win on a double weight. Right here we have 2, 4, 6, 8 in dots, but they have a gap. No, that's not what that is. Year hand. They're playing a year hand. First year hand right there. All right, so that's it for this live stream. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that you enjoyed Hoptoi's strategy by wall. Look in the video description for lots of links that can help you study independently, and I hope that you find that strategy helpful to your game. There are a lot of tactics in there, so it's going to take time to master, but trust the process. It is a proven strategy. You're welcome. You're welcome, Gretchen. Thank you so much for the kudos on the wins. Thank you for being here, moderators. Thank you for helping monitor the chat. The next live stream that we have this week is the members only Let's Play live stream on Wednesday. If you want to become a channel member, click join and you'll get an extra live stream that's a little more intimate on Wednesdays from 1 to 3. And then we also have a double header Let's Play live stream on Friday, Beat the Pro. If you want to play at my table and beat me at the game, you could qualify to be invited to an invitational virtual tournament held in January. So look for information in the video description. There are links there that take you to my website. If you have any questions, let me know. Let's see, Carol said, thank you very much. I used your tip on holding back on claiming a joker. You won the game and it worked as a picked win. Oh my gosh. So that would be the forced finesse. Good job, Carol. That's wonderful. Oh my gosh, that's exciting. Did it get your heart rate up? Sometimes that happens. I think it's really funny when you have a visceral reaction to something that happens in the game, whether it's a joker bait, ready to win on a pair hand, ready to win on a quint, or doing that forced finesse. I think that's really funny. Good job. All right. Does anybody have any questions? If not, I'll go ahead and sign off. Okay. If you like this video, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, consider subscribing. Click the little gray bell if you do. That way you'll get notification for when I post new videos, and you won't miss an opportunity to learn a new strategy or pick up an insight to the game that could give you an advantage at the table. Between now and the next video, may all your picks be keepers.